Imagine you are 5 years old again. You have a shiny blue marble. Your friend has a delicious chocolate cookie. You want the cookie, they want the marble. You trade. That's bartering. It's the oldest way of doing business in the history of the world. But soon, you realize trading marbles for cookies is hard. What if your friend doesn't want a marble? What if they want a toy truck? What if the toy truck is worth 10 cookies? It gets messy. This is why we invented money. Money is just a way to make trading easier. It's a middleman. But here is the secret. Money is only as good as the trust people put in it. If I give you a piece of paper and tell you it's worth a cookie, you only accept it if you believe that tomorrow someone else will give you a cookie for that same piece of paper. For most of human history, money was backed by something real, usually gold or silver. If the paper lost value, you could trade it for the gold. But about 50 years ago, the most powerful country on Earth, the United States, decided to rip up that rulebook. That is where our story truly begins. Back in the 1940s, after the biggest war the world had ever seen, everyone was tired and broke. The US was the only country left with a giant pile of gold and factories that actually worked. All the other countries said, let's use the US dollar as our world money. They even agreed that the US dollar would be tied to gold. For every dollar, there was a tiny piece of gold waiting in a vault. This made the dollar the king of the playground. But by the 1970s, the US had been spending a lot of money on big projects and a long, difficult war. They were printing more dollar bills than they had gold to back them up. Other countries started to notice. They looked at their dollars and thought, wait a minute, is there actually gold behind this? Some countries started demanding their gold back. If everyone asked at once, the US would have been empty-handed. President Richard Nixon looked at the situation, and instead of admitting he was out of gold, he did the most shocking thing imaginable. He closed the gold window. He basically told the world, you can't have gold anymore. You'll just have to keep using the dollars because I said so. You would expect the world to panic. You would expect the dollar to become worthless paper overnight. But something strange happened. The world kept using the dollar. Why? Because the US had a secret weapon. They had the most powerful military, the strongest economy, and they controlled the most important thing on the planet, oil. Oil is the go juice of the world. It's in everything. It's how we make gasoline for cars. It's how we make plastic for toys. It's even how we make fertilizer to grow food. In the 1970s, the US made a deal with Saudi Arabia, the country with the biggest oil reserves in the world. They said, we will give you the best weapons and protection you've ever seen. In exchange, you will sell your oil only in US dollars. This was the birth of the petrodollar. Think about how smart this was. If you were a country like Japan or Germany, you don't need US dollars to buy things from the US. You need them to buy oil from Saudi Arabia. Suddenly, every country on Earth had to have a giant pile of US dollars just to keep their lights on. This changed the US from a country that had to earn money into a country that could create it. Because the world was forced to buy dollars to buy oil, the US could print more money without causing the same kind of inflation that would ruin other countries. It was like having a magical machine in the basement that printed tickets to the most popular ride at the theme park. But like any game, people started looking for ways to cheat. The oil-producing countries realized they had a lot of extra dollars. What did they do with them? They couldn't just bury them in the sand. They gave them back to the US by buying US Treasury bonds. This was recycling. The US got the money back, used it to build more roads, more schools, and more weapons, and the cycle continued. This system lasted for decades. It allowed the US to become the wealthiest nation in history, but it also made the US very dependent on its friends in the Middle East. It created a world where the US had to get involved in every conflict, just to make sure the vending machine of the petrodollar kept working. Now, let's fast forward to today. The world has changed. Technology has advanced. We are starting to see the edges of this system fray. Countries like China and India are buying oil from Russia using their own currencies. They are asking, why do we need the US middleman? They are building their own vending machines. When countries stop using the dollar to buy oil, the demand for the dollar goes down. Imagine if your playground suddenly opened 10 different snack stands and you didn't need the red tokens anymore. The value of those tokens would drop. If the value drops, all the money the world has been holding on to, the savings, would suddenly be worth less. This is what the big banks are afraid of. They call it de-dollarization. It sounds like a boring word, but it means that the US might lose its magic trick. If the world stops wanting dollars, the US won't be able to spend as much as it does now. It would be like a kid losing their unlimited allowance. But don't worry, the US isn't just standing still. They are looking at the next thing. If oil was the go juice of the 20th century, what is the go juice of the 21st? It's data. It's computer chips. It's artificial intelligence.
The US is trying to make sure that even if the world doesn't need oil as much, they will still need American technology, American software, and American data centers. They are trying to turn the petrodollar into the tech dollar.
But wait, even this has a problem. What if the next generation doesn't want to use centralized money at all? What if they prefer digital systems that aren't controlled by any one country? That's where things like decentralized finance come in. It's the ultimate version of the playground trade, where you don't need a middleman at all. So, what is the lesson here? The lesson is that money isn't just about gold or oil. It's about power and who gets to make the rules. For 50 years, the rule was you need oil, therefore you need the dollar. Tomorrow, the rule might be you need the latest AI chip, therefore you need our currency. It's a constant battle. The story of the petrodollar is really a story about the evolution of the middleman. Every time we think we found the perfect way to trade, someone finds a way to change it. And here is the biggest secret. The people who win in the future aren't the ones with the most oil or the most gold. They are the ones who can create the most value for the most people. If you can make something that everyone in the world needs, you become the new vending machine. As you grow up, you're going to hear adults talking about the economy. They'll use big words like interest rates, sovereign debt, and fiat currency. Don't let them scare you. Just remember the playground. Remember the marble and the cookie. Remember that money is just a way for us to trust each other. When you see a headline about the petrodollar being in trouble, don't panic. Just realize that the game is moving to the next level. The old way of doing things, relying on a single commodity to back a currency, is slowly being replaced by a digital, fast-paced, and highly connected world. Is it possible that the dollar stays king? Absolutely. The US still has the biggest economy, the best companies, and the best talent. As long as the world trusts the US more than they trust anyone else, the dollar will stay the red token of the playground. But it won't be as easy as it used to be. So, there you have it, the secret history of why your money works the way it does. It wasn't just a random event. It was a calculated, brilliant, and incredibly complex game of chess played by leaders who knew that he who controls the trade controls the world.
And now, you are the one with the secret. You know that behind every gas pump, every stock market chart, and every global news report, there is a story about a desert, a handshake, and a piece of paper that changed the world forever.